Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the top teams for the Open Master League for this season 15, and we're going to jump straight into the meta for this one. We're going to see here not the biggest change really to the top meta of this league here. We're going to have again basically the Pokemon that we saw before. Solgaleo might be a little bit more available for a lot more people because we had now recently to research for that one, so maybe people got a decent one, but still of course the XL candy is going to be a little bit of a tricky one. You need everything to be XL, of course. It's Master League, it's always going to be fully XL, but otherwise you're going to see not really anything too crazy in there. You see this video, by the way, I made it before Magma Storm is on Heatran on PvPoke, so this is not in the list here right now. But it's going to be definitely better than what you see right now. They still have a team with Heatran available in this one here. Like, we already know the stats for the Magma Storm for it. It's just not on PvPoke while I'm recording this because I'm pre-recording because I'm currently away. So, that's going to be it for that one. You're going to see here the buff Pokemon. Ursaluna is pretty decent. Hexorus is definitely a little bit higher up there, but mostly not as good. But in general, for the Open Master League, I don't really see any bigger differences other than Heatran, which is not in here yet, but we're going to take a look at that later, which is going to benefit from any of the recent move updates or in general additions to the game. But yeah, this is going to be it for the meta analysis. It's basically pretty much the same that we had before. So we're going to have some teams that I used myself as well during the last season because the season will not really shift too much. Yeah, first team, we're going to have here no XL or no legendary team more. Of course, everything is XL. No legendary team here with Excadrill or the Metagross in the lead. Both of them worked fine. I think I used the Metagross, which worked out fine as well. You might have a weakness then against Excadrill itself, but it still worked out pretty decent for me. But if you want to use Garchomp, you can use it here. Dragonite is in general the little bit better Pokemon. But if you have like a very decent maybe Shadow Garchomp even, you can try it out with this team. But in general, this is a very decent team. By the way, here you see, for example, Snorlax not really having the best matchups in general. This Pokemon is super underrated. This is one of my favorite Pokemon to use in the Master League because it's so neutral. You always have like some kind of shield scenario where you're going to be able to win or force shields or get like some kind of advantage. Honestly, the PvPoke ratings don't give justice to Snorlax. Snorlax is insanely strong and it's really underrated. Let's take a look at the next team here. We're going to have another legendary team, but this time the lame one. And we of course have also an option for putting in some legendaries if you have them. If you can upgrade the team with that one, then we're going to have here the Dragonite in the lead, the Excadrill, Sasop, and the Metagross in the back. But you can, of course, again, upgrade this team. You can use, for example, the Groudon in the back instead of the Metagross. You can use the Zacian as a Sasop instead of the Excadrill. Then you can have something like the Dragonite in the, or like instead of the Dragonite here, the Rayquaza, or even like something like a Dialga in the lead. And this would work out pretty well as well. But if you don't have any legendaries built, this is most likely the best team that you can go for. It is very predictable though. That's something that you have to keep in mind. A lot of people know about this team. A lot of people know that this going to be like, if you encounter Dragonite, it's fairly likely that we're going to have a double steel backline in the back. So people are going to be prepared for this one for sure, and they know how to play against it. But still a very strong team that I see all the time on like leaderboards as well for the Master League. So definitely something that you can try out. Let's take a look at the next one, Old But Gold. This is one of my favorite teams as well. We're going to have the Dialga in the lead, the Lugia as a Sasop, and the Kyogre in the back. Going to form a pretty decent bond here as the Kyogre plus Dialga is just a very good core together. Lugia is honestly the best Sasop in this meta. You're going to see a lot of Sasop teams here with Lugia there because it is just so safe. Like, you're going to be able to always do against like damage against no matter what's coming in. I think the worst Pokemon that you could face would be Melmetal. And you don't really see this Pokemon too often, but even against the Pokemon you lose, you're going to be able to, most of the time, even get a shield advantage, which is kind of wild. Even against the Dialga, even against a Giratina Origin, you're going to do a pretty decent amount of damage with Lugia. But this team is pretty nice like this, but I actually like it a little bit more if you reverse it. If you reverse it, you're going to be able to have Kyogre in the lead, which is going to be able to counter a ton of Pokemon that are not Dragon types. You're going to have the Sasop of Lugia, which is going to get out any Steel type Pokemon, which you don't want to face with the Dialga in the back, while being able to do a lot of damage against Dragon type Pokemon with the Dragon Tail fast move. And then you're going to have the Dialga in the back, which is kind of needed to be the Dialga because it's the only Pokemon that really beats other Dragon types as well. So definitely a team that I like this a little bit more, as you're going to see as well. But you can also use the Zacian as a Sasop instead of the Lugia, and you're going to also have a great time with that one. But I really find that Kyogre is kind of underrated, and I feel like I like it the most in the lead because you have so many really decent neutral scenarios there. if it's basically not a dragon type, you're going to be fine with this Pokemon, which is, of course, it's a dragon type meta, don't get me wrong, but still you're going to be able to do a lot of damage against a lot of Pokemon. And there are a lot of teams with Ho-Oh in the lead. This team here has Ho-Oh in the back. This is basically the best team that they can really run around Landorus. Because if you take a look, for example, on PvPoke, see what you want to use with Landorus, it usually says Dialga. And then you put Dialga in and see what Dialga wants to run with. It's usually the Ho-Oh. So you basically have a very decent core here. Landorus is your safe swap for this team. I played this team myself as well. Very strong team to use. It's literally what PvPoke suggests you if you want to use a Landorus for your own team. But yeah, definitely a really good one here. You have a great coverage against everything. You have a safe swap that's going to be able to get out any water type Pokemon like the Kyogre while still doing a lot of damage with Super Power and Stone Edge. You're going to have a Pokemon in the back that can sweep endgame with the Ho-Oh, especially the normal one. Please don't use the Shadow variant. I have the Shadow variant build. It's pretty bad, to be fair. It's definitely worse than the normal one. You have Dialga in the lead, which is of course fairly neutral, but it's going to definitely appreciate the backline there, which is going to help it out with like Fire type users, which are not really that common, but any kind of ground type users as well, like the Groudon, going to get hardwalled by the backline. Team number 6, so we're going to have here Double Dragon line, which is pretty common as well. Ho-Oh Double Dragon is kind of also reversed from the one before. This is a very strong line that still works out super well. You can also use Zekrom in the back, which is like most of the time used, but I feel like Dragonite kind of underrated as well. Even Hydreigon is underrated because Hydreigon is going to be able to completely destroy the Giratina Origin. So I really enjoy the Hydreigon in general. I think it's a cool Pokemon because you're going to be able to destroy that one, but you're also going to be able to usually hardwall any Mewtwo if you're going to encounter that one. Very underrated Pokemon, but here is already like on the screen for Ho-Oh Dialga Dragonite. It basically beats everything. There's nothing really that you're not going to be able to beat. It is literally such a strong team. There's no real core breaker for this one. That's most literally one of the best, if not the best team to use. Again, you can use Zekrom in the back, which is going to also allow you to have a little bit better coverage against Lugia. That's definitely for sure there as well. But yeah, this team definitely works out pretty well here, I would say. And let's go into the next one. We're going to have team number 7. MEWeedle might be a little bit better than what I put in here with the Groudon. We will see here that we have a weakness against the Lugia like this. But also, the Dialga is most likely preferred in the back. So there's something like Groudon, Lugia, Dialga might be very decent. But of course, there are just different options if you don't have those Pokemon. You can substitute, for example, MEWeedle for Groudon, Zacian for the Lugia, and also the Rayquaza for the Dialga, or something like the Dragonite again. Dragonite I would actually expect to see a little bit more commonly in this meta. I feel like it's a very strong Pokemon that's super underrated, and I would recommend you to try it out. Tried it out myself and I was always surprised on how strong Dragonite really is. But yeah, this is definitely a team that also should work out pretty well. And let's go into the next one, I would say. We're going to have team number 8, and now we're going to go for only teams that are going to have new Pokemon in there. We're going to have here a team with Heatran. Heatran is going to get the new move Magma Storm, which is a Surf clone. It's a Fire-type Surf clone. So 40 energy, 65 damage, I think. And it's going to definitely help this Pokemon out quite a bit. You kind of want to have Stone Edge for the Lugia. You could have also Iron Head for the Zacian if you're interested in that. But you still should be able to beat the Zacian in the 2-shield scenario just with Magma Storm alone. But I feel like that the Stone Edge just gives you better coverage. You see already, for example, Lugia, for example, Dragonite, for example, Yveltal. You have a ton of Pokemon that you're going to be able to beat with that. But mainly actually Ho-Oh, because Ho-Oh is going to get a one-shotted by this one. So Heatran going to have a great shot against that. But what you need with Heatran really is flying types in the back, because you're both going to be weak against the, against the ground type Pokemon as well as like fighting type Pokemon. Both of them going to get walled by flying type Pokemon. So we have basically 4 flying type Pokemon here in the back. You can play whatever really. I feel like a dragon in the back though is a little bit better than the Yveltal, which I put here in that one just because I wanted to have something with Yveltal as well. I think like a dragon would be a little bit better, like a Dragonite, like the Rayquaza. But Lugia Sayswap again going to be the best one for this Pokemon as well. And I think it's a very decent Pokemon. It's not going to be insanely strong and everybody going to use it all the time. It's definitely something that you have to be prepared for. So very cool addition for this meta. As you're going to go ahead and go for the next one here, we're going to have the Hexerus. Hexerus are now having access to Breaking Swipe, the best charge move in the game most likely. Going to allow it to definitely shine a little bit more. I put in counter because I feel like if you go for Dragon Tail, yes, you're going to have a few more matchups that you're going to be a little bit better in, like against other Dragon type Pokemon. but I feel like counter is like the main thing why this Pokemon is so decent. Stat-wise, it does not compete really with most of the other Pokemon. It's a fairly squishy Pokemon, sadly. But again, we're going to have a Lugia here. Lugia is going to be very decent for this one, and again, kind of needed as well, because Lugia are going to be able to beat most of the Pokemon that you don't really want to face here with your Dragon in the lead. But your Dragon in the lead here has access to counter, which is going to beat all the Steel-type Pokemon. So basically, you're going to be able to get out Steel-type Pokemon with a Lugia that you don't want to face, and with the backline, which would be then the Florges or also the Metagross. Both of them would be fine. Both of them have their own benefits and weaknesses. But I think that's definitely a pretty decent team here. It's a little bit tricky to not have Lugia in this meta right now. Definitely, if I would make a tier list for the top Pokemon to build for the Master League, I think Lugia would be number 1 for me. But let's go into the final team here. We're going to have, honestly, here this is like a team that I already showcased for the Master League Premier Cup. We're going to have the Dragonite in the lead, the Sazop of the Mamoswine, and the Ursaluna in the back. It actually looked also pretty decent again, like with the Solgaleo, but with Solgaleo, the issue is that Kyogre would be fairly decent against you. Like, this is a way more balanced team here. It definitely still can work out pretty well here. But honestly, Ursaluna is pretty bad. Like, honestly, Ursaluna just doesn't really pack a punch, in my opinion. You can still use it. It's definitely better in Premier Cup. Definitely very strong in the Premier Cup. But just tackle in this meta right now. A tackle in the meta with Giratina Origin and Dialga is just... yeah, normal type moves are not really beneficial, to be fair. But yeah, this is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Those videos are insanely difficult to do. They always take a ton of time. So would appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot. And I hope I see you in the next one. Bye bye.